So during this time where we've been sheltering in place, or your clients are having to deal with approaching business a little bit differently, what are some of the things that you've been helping them with?
One of the businesses I met, it's Richardson Bike Mart out of Texas. So they're a client of mine and been doing more of just as coaching. So one of the things I offer too is for companies that maybe have their own marketing person and they just want a second set of eyes. Like they want to make sure that either they're keeping that story brand messaging going, or they just want to make sure, because they're so close to it, they just want a second set of eyes to make sure that things are going okay. So we've been working on a lot of different messaging standpoints for them, but they actually had to do a complete pivot of their business. So think of it this way: your local bike shop, you go in, you look at a bike, you buy tubes and tires and nutrition items, and just they have all the stuff, right?
Hmm.
So where they were located, they were deemed as necessity, but with limits. So they were deemed a necessity only for getting bike service. So they couldn't have any retail presence at all. So nobody could go into the store and buy a bike because they were not able to do that. And we had talked about over, when we started the year, we said, hey, this year we really want to explode the online market because that's an area of growth for them.
Hmm.
And so we were looking at, how are we going to do that? How are we going to push some more online sales? Well, then this happened. So it's like, okay, now if we want to have a business, this is the only way we can have a business. So we started working with, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to promote it? Some ideas bouncing around. And we're able to help them. I was able to work with them on how can we create the right messaging to get people excited about, hey, you can go online. We'll help you pick out the right bike for you.
Hmm.
We'll make sure that we'll assemble it. And then if you live within a 10-mile radius, we'll drop it off and make sure that it fits.
Awesome.
So now you've removed the barrier of, hey, everybody wants to, I mean, I don't know about you where you live, but there's more people walking my neighborhood than I've
Then
ever
I've
seen
seen, yeah.
ever.
I,
you know, at every trail that used to be like, you could go whenever you wanted to. Now it's
mhm.
like, okay, well, if we're going to go ride our bikes right now, we need to go to like the Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot and start there, because there's no way we're going to make it to the bridge and park at at the regular. That's not going to happen. So everybody's out doing exercising, and now they were able to completely pivot their business, create the messaging that says, look, we make this easy. That's the hard part, is that you think of online sales, and really when you look at bikes and you're going to invest, several hundred, if not thousands of dollars into a bike, you want to make sure it's the right fit. You want to make sure that it's the right type that you want. Like, are you a triathlete and you need a tri bike, or are you a mountain biker, or do you want a fat tire? Like, there's so many different, or do you just want to tootle around with your kids on their bike? So many different options. And so we were able to help them pivot that business and get their messaging dialed in, social media, emails, all of that, so that they could really keep that bit. I mean, they exploded, like couldn't do it fast enough, and have been able to survive in this time. And now we're looking at, okay, now you've got all these new people with new bikes. Now what's the next step? It's, we got to start building nurturing campaigns to, this is how you care for it, this is what you do, because some of these people had a bike in their garage for the last 20 years. Now they just
Mhm.
bought a brand new, couple
S-
$100,000 bike.
Yeah.
Let's keep track, like, let's
Yeah.
keep it going.
Take care of it like I do my swim, or what do I
Yeah.
do here? Yes.
Yeah. So it's been fun.
I like that. Find that folks, what they may not have considered as far as technology or an additional level of connecting with an audience, they haven't really began to grow. It's like now all of a sudden, yeah, let's really consider that. And they can do a sprint for a little bit,
Yeah.
come out of this, and they have an additional level or channel of connecting with folks maybe they would have neglected for a longer period of time.
Absolutely. And I think now, and this is part of it is because of all the things that I read, and part of it is being a technology a lot because of my husband and connected just to that industry, is our mind, we are shifting. you know, business is not, I mean, I think the new, Ann Hanley said it several weeks back, and now I'm starting to see it pop up everywhere, which is there's a new normal. And
Mhm.
I think this new normal is going to even shift again
Mhm.
into another new normal. Online is where you need to be, because
Mhm.
we as consumers, and I think you mentioned it in your book, but we as consumers are getting used to when somebody does something really well, we expect that, right?
Mhm.
We expect Amazon to click and ship and not have to think about it.
Mhm.
So, as businesses, even small businesses can come up with a way to transition their business, and maybe we are going to be able to open up and go fully, but I mean, for example, in Arkansas, you know, in most of these states, it's at 33% is like the max capacity for some of these places. And so if you don't have an online presence, if you don't have a way for people to engage with you and to work, and this is going to be this way for a while, and
Mhm.
so it's not too late. I think a lot of people may think it is too late to shift, or is too late to kind of like, what do we do? But I think what this has offered all of us is an opportunity to say, one, it's not too late. You can shift now, totally shift now. You can totally change your messaging now. You can totally create something now. If you have done that and business does go back to normal, always know in the back of your mind, you need to have a plan B for
Mhm.
when and if this doesn't shift. Now,
Totally.
what are we going to do? Because I think a lot of businesses were caught off guard. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I had a lot of people that just was like, I don't, I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to watch Netflix and chill. Like
Mhm.
just staring into, and that's okay. Like there's a time for that. There is a time to just be overwhelmed by everything and then go like, okay, but now's the time to say, okay, I've done that. Now I got to figure out something else. Now I got to make a shift. And what are we going to do? And how are we going to plan? And how are we going to execute? And if things do go back to normal, great. And if we need to, but if they don't, this is what we're going to do to succeed, and this is how we're going to do it. So yeah, it's I mean, legitimate crazy time, but it's so fun.
Mhm.
So many opportunities out there for people, so many.